are listening to the most original talk radio station anywhere. We are LA Talk Radio at latalkradio.com.
You're listening to Oscar's Guitar Shop with Oscar Jordan, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Who's Bill Murray?
Hey, I've never hit a kid before. I mean, that's like asking who Gandhi is.
Who's Gandhi?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of Oscar's Guitar Shop. I'm Vintage Guitar Magazine contributing writer Oscar Jordan. And contrary to popular belief, not all black people play bass. That's right, they don't. And I'm the man to prove it to you all. How y'all doing? Oh, nice shirt. Nice. Sir, put your shoes back on. Don't get too comfortable. That's called lots of severe casualism going on today. Hey, if you'd like to support Oscar's Guitar Shop, go to oscarsguitarshop.com, click donations to the show. Donate $30 or more and be entered into the Oscar's Guitar Shop sweepstakes. The winner will receive a 1-year subscription to Music Connection magazine and a Brimstone Audio crossover distortion pedal. The street price is $299.95. That's a lot of money. Hey, right? That's what I'm saying. The winner will be announced on August 30th. Go to oscarsguitarshop.com. Do it and win. Oscar's Guitar Shop is powered by Music Connection magazine, informing music people, industry professionals, and support services since 1977. Visit them at musicconnection.com. Also, True Tone Music. Visit them at truetonemusic.com, making your music come to life. And last but not least, Mojave Ampworks. Visit the Oasis of Tone at mojaveampworks.com. Find out what Peter Frampton, Billy Gibbons, and George Lynch are talking about. My God.
Oh, my God.
That's mojaveampworks.com. And now, it's time. Greg Koch is not a former football guard who played 11 seasons in the NFL with the Green Bay Packers. No, that's a different Greg Koch. Wisconsin's Greg Koch, the guitarist, is a virtual Cuisinart of guitar styles and twangy blues rock juxtapositions. With a buffet of guitar styles and tonal capabilities under his command, Greg has been known to mix his Hendrix with his Chet Atkins and his Clapton with his Danny Gatton. He changes lives daily with his guitar instruction books and is one of the most in-demand clinicians in the guitar industry. He is lord of the gear demo and does it all with savoir-faire and devil-may-care humor. He's an award-winning guitarist, session cat, band leader, and his albums are cool as hell. His current album, Play Well With Others, is a soulful singer-songwriter rock exploration with inspired vocal compositions, blues brushstrokes, and rich country colors. It features Paul Barret of Little Feat, Robben Ford, and Joe Bonamassa. And if you buy this album, it will transform you into a more highly evolved human being. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Mr. Greg Koch. Yes. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Well, it's good to be here, Oscar. You're a man after my own heart. You're perfect.
How the hell are you, sir?
I am doing well. How art thou?
I am doing most fine this day. Hey, I gotta refresh your memory. I know you don't know who the hell I am, but I remember you. I did a story for Fender at the Fender Museum. This is I think about 3 or 4 years ago, and in Corona. And you were there with Reggie Hamilton teaching the workshops, yes. And that's how I remember you. And we just hit it off, and it was a good time, man. And I got to watch you teach the youngsters how to chicken pick and do all the cool stuff. And I always remember that. It was a great time watching you work, man.
Was that, I think that was maybe part of that Fender University thing
Yes.
They had for a minute there.
Yes,
yeah.
It was the university, and then there was the museum and the whole thing, and it was just really cool.
Excellent. Well, it's nice to meet you again.
So what have you been up to lately?
Getting this record out. I'm about to go on this European tour. Starting September 18th, I'll head on over to beautiful Europa and cause trouble over there. Just been playing gigs around the area here this summer, and then I go out to Wildwood Guitars about 6 days a month to shoot guitar videos out there in Colorado and Louisville. That guitar shop's like a guitar porn central, so it's most fun to go out there and basically get paid to practice guitar. And it's always good to play guitar, I found. It's good, clean fun, and sometimes it's not so clean. It's a little dirty as well.
Oh, that's what we like, man. We like it when it's dirty. Yeah.
Indeed.
So what do they got you doing? Are you just talking about styles? Or are you showing off gear? Or what's going on?
Well, are you familiar with Wildwood out there in beautiful Louisville?
Yes.
It's a delicious little guitar shop. I mean, they specialize, like they'll order custom Fenders that are to their specifications. So, there'll be these Wildwood 10s, and there'll be Wildwood spec, Les Pauls from the Gibson Custom Shop, and they had an idea to hire some kind of a lummox, such as myself, to go out there and wield every one of these guitars in a short, 3 to 5 minute video. So basically, I just grab the guitars and treat it like a farm animal for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then people can hear that specific serial number guitar and buy it if they so choose, and it's been very successful for them. That's why they keep on bringing me out. I dig it. As I said, I get paid to basically put little mini concerts on all these guitars, which are just torturously delightful. And I play all my own tunes on these things. So it's just one big, juicy, symbiotic guitar orgy, if you will. That was kind of a tongue twister right there, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, very, very cool. Wow, I mean, I'm very impressed. That's really cool. They just say, here, just play this guitar and do whatever you want, and we're going to give you money. It's America, man. It's amazing.
That is. It is glorious.
It's just a beautiful thing. How do you get a good gig like this? Basically, that's a product specialist, clinician gig, I guess we call it.
Well, what happened was that originally they wanted me to come out and just do Fender stuff. And so Steve, the owner of Wildwood, said, they made an arrangement with Fender to have me go out there and start playing some of these custom shop guitars. And originally their plan was to have all different people from different endorsees from all the different companies kind of represent and come on out there and play these guitars. And after one video, Steve said to me, "Can I hire you to do these videos?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I'll fly you out here every month to do these. I go, you mean like a regular thing? Which, of course, in the musician world is almost unheard of. So at first I thought he was high on crack, and then I realized he's not high. He's actually wanting to meet me to come out and do these videos. So at first I went out there 3 days a month, and I would shoot all. And he's got thousands of guitars in stock, which is insane. So I would basically do 30 guitars a day that I do these little mini onslaughts on. And then it just worked out where a lot of people think I'm an employee of Fender Musical Instruments. I never have been. I've always been an independent contractor. And in the recent years, I do a lot of stuff overseas for them. I haven't done much in the States for them at all. And so the Wildwood folks are like, if you would tickle some of these other guitars, your Gibsons, your this, that, and the next thing, we could use you more. And, and I think everyone who plays guitar has a Fender, has a Gibson. You have whatever you need to do in order to play. And certainly over the years, I've had 335s and Les Pauls and SGs and so on and so forth. So I started to do some of these other guitars for them as well. So I go out there 6 days a month. I go out there in 3-day increments. I go out there, I rock these guitars all day long. I feast like a warrior of the night at some of the delightful Louisville restaurants, which is right by Boulder. I get my Morgan Mindy on. I gaze at the bold Rocky Mountains and maybe have some inappropriate contact with the mountain goat. And then I head back behind the cheddar curtain to beautiful Wisconsin, where my money is spent immediately by my 4 children and my wife. So that's kind of how it all works out for me.
That's great, man. That's the life. That's the life that we all want, man. Well,
living the dream.
Living the dream. Well, what's cool is that I've been watching some of your videos where it's basically like stand up, but you've got a guitar and you're playing the shit out of these guitars. And I don't care about journalism or radio, but how do you remember all of this shit? That's my question. How do you because like you go from like Mark Knopfler to Albert Lee to Chet Atkins to Hendrix, and then you start playing like soft hits of the 70s, and it just goes on, and it's amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know. To me, it all kind of works together. There's a connection to all the different stuff. I mean, it basically started off as I wanted to play like Hendrix, and I wanted to play like Cream or Clapton. And that's what got me into guitar. And so once I started reading about, Hendrix, you read about Hendrix, he starts talking about Hubert Sumlin playing with Howlin' Wolf and B.B. King and Albert King and these types of dudes. And then the same thing when you read about Clapton, and you talk about Freddie King, and it leads you one place to another. So I started getting into these more of the traditional blues stuff, and then researching who Freddie was into and who Albert was into, and getting back, farther and farther back, and connecting the dots. And by the same token, right about the time that I was into Clapton, he had Albert Lee in his band. So that live record came out in '79. That's right when I started playing guitar. I was in 8th grade. And remember that live version of Cocaine where Clapton would do his kind of clean strat, kind of almost Knopfler-esque wah-wah imbued solo, and then all of a sudden this other guy starts soloing, and he starts doing some stuff where you're thinking, that ain't the blues scale. So I started researching it, and it was this guy, Albert Lee. So next thing you know, I start getting Albert Lee records, and then I start reading up about him. And he's talking about Jimmy Bryant, Chet Atkins, and Jerry Reed, and James Burton. So then I start leading that trail. And then right around the same time, I got into Roy Buchanan, and that led me to Danny Gatton. And then by the same token, I was really into George Benson and Kenny Burrell and Grant Green and Joe Pass and these types of dudes, all mixed in with the fact I was a huge Allman Brothers fan. And, I would kind of have hyper-focus on all these different guys. As musicians, we're all OCD in one way or another. It's just trying to clam onto the OCD things that aren't as destructive. And so my thing is that I would just kind of hyper-focus on all these different players at some point, so that I would completely immerse myself in kind of their world. Not so that I would copy them. I never copied things verbatim off the record. I always just tried to learn the language. You know what I mean? So I would learn kind of the lexicon of Lickery. So if I ever had to deploy it, I could, but always to the end of thinking, I'm going to add all of this crap to my own little cauldron of wrong, so I can kind of make it my own. And so that was kind of the goal. So after a period of time of putting out a bunch of records on my own and just trying to make it with my band, next thing you know, I got kids and I got a mortgage payment, and so I had to figure out ways to make some cash. Mm-hmm. And I started doing the Fender thing, and I just started doing the clinics, and all of a sudden I realized that OCD of kind of learning all these different styles came in very handy when having to show off the various different rock utensils that they would come up with. So, and then, of course, the Hal Leonard thing kind of came up, all the instructional stuff. It all kind of happened around the same time. And then I realized that what I thought was a misspent youth of spending all my time with a record player actually panned out to be a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I guess it all worked out, didn't it? Wow.
Well, thank God it did, because Lord have mercy. I was thinking about this. Like, the worst thing a musician can do is actually think that it's...
yeah. They like that you had your misspent youth paid off, which is a good thing,
Okay. Woo.
Hey, I first heard about you when you were doing press for Radio Free Gristle, which that album is just the coolest, damn, funniest guitar slinging album. I love that record. And I remember you got interviewed, and you said something that has stuck with me this whole time, years later, which was that you had a lot of influences, but you knew what you didn't want to do, which was you did not want to be the 80s metal guy. But everything else was fine, and that really kind of, that's a lot when you take out that. Plus, you coming up in the 80s as a guitar player, and you being in that world, and as you remember back then, it was just Eddie Van Halen and Dokken, and it was just metal guys everywhere and Poodle Hair, But you
Absolutely.
decided, you said everything but that, and it's really, and it shows, and you've become this guy just choosing not to do something, which is great.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I think I'm the only guy of my generation that didn't figure out Eruption.
That's what I mean.
I graduated high school in 1984, so that was prime. Everyone I knew that was my age was a metal guy. They grew up listening to Kiss. They got into Van Halen. And then the other school of it would be, guys that thought Rush was the greatest band in the world. And not that I had anything really against all of those things, but I was the youngest of 7 kids. So when all these guys were first getting into their first rock band, which was Kiss, I was already into, Hendrix and Cream and the James Gang and Led Zeppelin and all the Beatles stuff, and I knew all the minutiae about the Beatles and the Stones. So for me, the 80s stuff just did not make sense to me. In my obsessive compulsive way, the dots didn't line up.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
There you go. Well,
so I just kind of veered away from metalldom. Not that there's anything wrong with it, mind you. I'm not coming from a position of, of some kind of a pedantic rube. But
you're no elitist. I won't call you an elitist, because I've heard you just quote a couple of widdly widdly wees on stage, and they sounded good. Your widdly widdly wee is not so bad. Okay. Speaking of whittling, this is not a segue, but I'm just going to say it anyway. I want to play a track from your current album. It's a really, really cool album. People. Greg Koch has this great album out. It's called Plays Well with Others, and he does, because he has guests on the album. He's got Robben Ford. He's got Joe Bonamassa. It's just a cool record. Great singer-song stuff. Stand by. I'm going to play some cool music. And it goes a little like this.
Simone had a French name, but she wasn't French. See her smoke out the front on a little bench. Cross her legs and she French in head. Hit her in my thoughts, I'd have been in jail. Simone. in time. I was 12, she was 21, but in my mind we were born to run. Simone, Simone. I grew up slow, but she grew up fast. She met some sailor on a 3-day pass. She told me that she couldn't wait around. Broke my heart when she left town. Simone, Simone. Hey!
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yeah, I can dig it. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? I can dig it. Greg, can you dig it? That was great, man. That was, man, nice guitar slang in there. Man, so tell me, how did this album come about? What was the process getting this started?
Well, that's an excellent question. At first, it was going to be a trio record with Roscoe Beck, myself, and Tommy Breckline. That was kind of the initial plan, and we were going to have guest vocalists on it. And for one reason or another, it morphed into, I was like, regardless of what I was going to do, I kind of reached out to some of the guests that we had in mind, and initially to be vocalists on it as well as players. So when I talked to Robben and Joe Bonamassa and to Paul Barrere, and I wanted to reach out to John Cleary, the keyboard player as well, who's a great singer. I wanted them all to sing on it. But I didn't know what tunes to do, and we were thinking about, it was going to be a bluesier record, but I thought, well, just what the world needs is to rehash some old blues standards. And I didn't really feel like doing a bunch of my old tunes, so I thought maybe now's the time to kind of collaborate with somebody in the lyric department, because the music part I had no problem with. So there was quite a popular band in town here, and a really prolific singer-songwriter, kind of an Americana individual by the name of John Seeker, who had this band called Semi-Twang, and still does actually here in town. And I'm in beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin, by the way, of course. And one day I was out at a Starbucks, and I walked in front of the place. I see this guy, John Seeker, walking up the street. And I said, "Hey, John, you want to write some songs together?" I said, "I need some help in the lyric department." He looked at me and goes, "Let me guess, your life's too good." And I said, "I guess it is." So basically the process was I would write tunes on my laptop. I'd be in my hotel room traveling someplace, and I would have like an unamplified electric guitar into GarageBand, just using the mic on the MacBook Pro, and I would layer, a melody part, bass, a couple guitar tracks, and then a lot of times I'd just play drums on my desktop with my hands, and I would send him tunes, and like within 24 hours it'd be done. He would just get the vibe of the song and come up with these really cool lyrics and this vocal part. So I knew after we had done, we'd written like 60 songs that I thought, I think I'll just have John sing his own songs. We've got kind of this weird thing going where this is kind of a songwriting partnership for the ages. So I decided to have John sing all the tunes, but I still wanted to use the guys that I had reached out to about being on the record. That actually turned out to be a little bit logistically easier. So Robben flew in with Roscoe, and Brandon Temple played drums on those sessions. And then a couple of days later, Paul Barrere flew in and played with my local band, which has my son on drums, which has really turned out cool. And then Bonamassa and John Cleary actually recorded their parts remotely and then just sent us the tracks, and we lined them up, and the rest was that.
Wow.
And it turned out great. I was very pleased. And obviously when we had 60-some songs written, I had to figure out which tunes to record, and they weren't really like the 10 best ones. They just were tunes that we had started to kind of harvest a little bit, and especially in case of Robben, I knew that I picked a couple tunes where I thought the changes were particularly conducive to his sense of harmonic malfeasance. So so that was really a lot of fun, and that session was a big highlight for me. I mean, I'm big fans of everyone involved with the record, but as a guitar player, Robben Ford to me, probably not from the sound. I haven't tried to ape the way that he plays, but just theory-wise and how he approaches things, I've probably learned more from him than from any single person, I think. So that was a big honor to have him on the record, and the fact that he really enjoyed being on it and said some very nice things after the thing was done, and so that was really a blast.
Yeah, it's really cool to hear you guys play back to back because your styles are so different.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm a huge long-term Robben Ford fan, and I don't, I could be wrong, but I never hear him playing kind of like quasi, like major pentatonic sort of licks a lot. And he did like more of that on this record than I never heard him. Usually he's doing the diminished passing tone thing, or he's playing minor, but it was just really cool. And he would come on for a track, for a solo, and then you would come on, and it was just really, it all gelled together so well.
Yeah, it really was. It was surreal as it was happening. At one point you're looking over, you're like, Robben Ford's playing on my record. And the fact that he was so into it. I mean, he just really was all about the music and trying to make it the best it could be, and had really good suggestions, and it just was it was an awesome experience. I'm using the word awesome at this point in time. And of course, after the record got done and I was hearing what he did solo-wise, I had to figure that out.
When I interviewed Robben Ford, I think last month for Vintage Guitar Magazine, and all of a sudden I became 12 years old, and I was like, dude, you're so awesome, man. I just think you're just cool, But he's just, that's how I feel, because I just have such reverence for him. He changed my life in terms of just exactly what you said about learning more about like theory and how to play over changes and melodic choices, different scales. He's the man.
Absolutely.
Now, I understand that you and Bonamassa did not actually physically play together, but he wound up on the record anyway. How did you manage that?
Well, actually, what's funny about it is I've played with Joe many times. His band comes to town. I've probably sat in with him, 4 or 5 times. But it just turned out that schedule-wise for the recording of this thing, we just couldn't physically get together for the recording of it. But I met Joe probably, I want to say 7, 8 years ago, and we did a little. My band opened up for him on a tour of Holland, of all places. And after the first day, we just hit it off, and we got to travel on his bus, and he was just totally cool. And he's just been very supportive of me, and just been very cool. So I was very happy to get him on the record. I would have loved to have him play more, but I didn't want to kind of wear out my welcome. So I just said, if you just want to play on one tune, it'd be great. And he said, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And I said, well, just if you could burn a lead on this bad boy, I'd appreciate it. And he did. He rocked it down. So I was very appreciative of that. So that was all good.
Very cool. Well, this next track I'm going to play is from Play Well With Others, and it's a song that Robben Ford plays on with you, and it's called What You Got to Lose.
Oh, yeah.
She was waiting for a man. In a rusted Voyager, she was waiting for a man. Wearing red lipstick, she was waiting for a man. Engine purring and the heat turned up, she was waiting for a man. Friday, I reckon, got some gas to burn. Highway beckons, you don't care which way it turns. Sticking to the plan. These days we don't have a care, cause we're sticking to the plan. Cooler in the back seat, you know, sticking to the plan. Hop atop and turn down the heat, we're sticking to the plan. Friday, I reckon, got some gas to burn. Highway beckons, we don't care which way it turns. 3-day weekend, nothing much to do. In a manner of speaking, it all comes down to what you got to lose.
Tone Music is a virtual candy store for guitarists and bass players. They're world famous for having the best selection of new, used, and vintage guitars in the Los Angeles area. Located at 714 Santa Monica Boulevard in the city of Santa Monica, True Tone Music offers the widest selection of exceptionally high-quality guitars and basses. They stock name brands like Fender, Gibson, Guild, Epiphone, Gretsch, and much, much more. It's where the top names in the music industry shop for guitars, basses, amps, boutique pedals, and accessories. Whether you want to buy, sell, trade, get guitar lessons or repairs, True Tone Music's super cool staff is there to make your music come to life. They'll also match any online price and back it up with top-notch customer service and support. Visit them online at TrueToneMusic.com or call 310-393-8232. That's 310-393-8232. Ask for Ken. Tell him Oscar sent you, and then you'll finally be happy. That's right. Hey, Greg, man, that was a cool track, man.
Hey.
Do you remember what gear you were playing on that particular track?
I'm sorry, one more time. Where were we playing it, or?
Well, what gear? Which guitar? Which amp? What whatever thing?
I was going to say where I was is always speculative, but the gear being utilized at that particular juncture is I used a thin line Telecaster. Mm-hmm. Which is actually it's a reissue that never was. It's a 68 thin line Telecaster, but it's what they call a thin skin. So in deep dark there, it's the nitrocellulose finish. It's got a flatter radius. It's got the 6105 frets in there, so I can wiggle them strings with a little bit more vehemence. And then I was going into a Fender Bassman. And a Tweed reissue basement, and turned it up a little bit. And, my buddy, when I was recording it, squished it a little bit with one of his glowing tube compressiva bobs, and away we went. And I remember Robben was he had his 1960 Telecaster, and he was going into an old Twin, and he was on the pickup, and he turned the tone all the way off, so he got this weird funky little tone of a clean telly bridge pickup with the tone all the way rolled off. So he's crazy, that Robben.
I know. He just kind of just does whatever he wants to do. I swear.
As well as one should.
Yeah, he sounds great. He has just the touch, and his ear is just impeccable. And what's cool about it is, even though if you never told me that Robben Ford was playing on that track, I would still say, hey, that sounds like Robben Ford, because he just has such an identifiable note selection, and the big thing is his sense of swing in time. Right. And you can always hear the way he just swings the notes with it in time, and it's like, well, that's Robben Ford. That's what I want. I want that. That's why. Exactly. That's why I have the Robben Ford songbook. It's done me no good, but yet I still try, and that's what it's all about, people.
That's all we can do is endeavor to persevere.
We endeavor to persevere. In a bunch of your videos, you just brought on the massive amounts of gear acquisition syndrome. It's just, it's really bad. I think you should be arrested for doing this to everybody. But you have this powder blue maple neck telly with the gold hardware.
Yes.
Do you recall, of the zillion guitars that you play through life and on all your clinics, do you remember that specific model?
Yeah, well, that particular guitar, the one with the beat bender on it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That one, years ago, when the Fender Custom Shop first opened, they didn't really have guitars that they just made. It was a made-to-order place. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine ordered that guitar, and it was just a really light ash body with maple neck with a Parsons white B-bender on it. And he ordered that guitar, and when I saw that thing, I was like, man, I want a Strat that looks just like that. So I ordered kind of a souped-up 56 Strat. This is like 1990, 91. And after a couple of years, the fellow that bought the Telecaster was like, "Hey, I'm going to sell the guitar. Do you want to buy it?" And I said, "Hey, yeah." So I bought that thing because it matched my Strat, and I still use it. I just got done using that in a bunch of sessions for this next record that's coming out. Our next batch of tunes that John Seeger and I wrote is ready to come out as well. So it's we'll be doing 2 records a year for a while here, I'm pretty sure. But I played that Tele quite a bit, the B-Bender on there quite a bit.
Yeah, it's so sweet, man. It's just it's striking. It's very striking. Plus, with the gold hardware, and it just everything is just and it sounds great too.
Oh, it's a beast.
What is your go-to arsenal when you grab when you got a gig, and what is the first guitar you grab? What is the first amp you use, and what do you have on the floor?
Well, those are all excellent questions. It changes quite a bit, as I'm sure it does with everybody. I've got a couple different rigs that I like to use. Lately, a friend of mine in town here has been making guitars for me, and in one, it's this particular latest guitar that I've been using quite a bit. Actually, has 3 P90s on it. It's kind of a double cutaway Telecaster, thin line with a different kind of a neck, and it's got a Bigsby on it, and it's orange sparkle. The guy's name is Rick Land, so his company's called Landry Guitars, and just a guy, he basically ones off these guitars. So I usually grab one of his, and I grab one of my Tellies, which I have a Landry Telly as well, which is made out of a sugar pine, but I also have the main guitar. Let's just put it this way: when I go to Europe in a couple of weeks, I'm bringing it's just an American Deluxe Series Ash Telly, because I originally bought it because I needed quiet pickups on it, because sometimes when you're in the bowels of Europe playing in some, God knows where, the 60-cycle hum is, inescapable. So I needed something that sounded good but quiet. But while I was over there, I met this German guy, Ray Gerald, who makes these pickups that look like Danny Gatton, those Joe Barton pickups. Mm-hmm. But they're different. It's got a little toggle switch, so it goes from single coil to actually humbucker, but in either position, they're totally noise canceling. So I get this great single coil sound with no noise. Then if I want just a little extra meat to get more of a humbucker tone, I flip that toggle switch, which I'll use a lot of times for slides, so on and so forth. And lately, I'll just take that guitar and go straight into a Vibrolux and turn that thing up, and I'll have nothing on the floor. Or I'll use this. But another local guy made me an amp, which we call the Harmonic Pummeler 3000, of course.
Harmonic Pummeler. Sounds painful.
And it's basically it's pretty sexy, and it's orange sparkle to match my guitar. And it's got 4 10s, and it's like a double deluxe, so it's got 4 66s, and it's got the old Brown era vibrato circuit, or that tremolo circuit. So it sounds like you have a Univibe built into the amp, and I'll plug it straight into that bad boy and turn it up. But for years, if I'm plugging straight into a Super Reverb or a Tweed Bassman, and I can't crank it up to the point where I'm just using the volume knob on the guitar to go between clean and dirty, I've got a buddy of mine who's been making pedals for me for years, and we've developed a pedal called the Gristle King, which is an overdrive on one side and a clean boost on another. We also have another pedal. Well, it started off, the overdrive pedal was called the Diabolical Gristle Tone Manipulator, the DGTM for short. Yeah. And then we made it a double pedal so it would have a clean boost on it. So I used that overdrive, and now we've got a new overdrive, which is like, what should we call this thing? And I said, well, we should call it the Viscoscillator, of course. And so we have that. And then he made a pedal for Jeff Coleman, and that's the Coleman 8 pedals. This guy's kind of a guru of overdrive goodness. His name is Tim Yarning. And so I use his pedals. Sometimes I love a Leslie speaker, so that I'll go between different things. My latest favorite thing is a German pedal called the Ventilator, made by Neo Electronics, because its fast sounds just like a Leslie, but if you slow it down, it still sounds good. A lot of times when you slow them down, that's when they kind of sound a little cheesy. But it's the best one I've heard. That one, before I used that, I used the Hughes and Kettner Rotosphere. But I try to keep it simple. I do not like a bunch of delay. It just, I'll go in phases where I'll use it, but I just like a pure guitar tone. If I can get away without using any overdrive pedal, I'd like to just go straight into an amp. And if I can take a chord into an amp with the vibrato circuit on the amp, I'm happier than Pig and Squalor, because it's just one of those things. The more stuff you have in the loop, the less you're closer to the source, as far as I'm concerned. Not to sound like some kind of old fart, but it just I can always tell with my recordings the pure guitar tones that sound the best is guitar, amp, chord, done.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I like to roll.
That's very cool. You use any kind of clean boost or anything? Just a little extra, something?
Lately I haven't been, but there's if I'm not using that clean boost on the Gristle King, I do love that EP booster, Exotic Effects.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried that thing? It's awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, I have the AC. I like the AC. I haven't tried the BP.
The EP is just like, it's a very small pedal. It's got one knob on it, and it's basically the preamp of an Echoplex. So a lot of times I'll just have that thing on and keep it on the whole time. As soon as you hit that button, it just makes the world a better place. You know, so smile on your face. Everyone has halos. It's glorious. So I like using that device every now and again too. And I also like the BB preamp. I like to use. I actually use that out at Wildwood when we're doing the videos. That was kind of our go-to overdrive out there. So if I have to use pedals, I either use the Tim Yarning stuff, the exotic stuff. There's a friend of mine in Greece, Jam pedals. I really like a few of his pedals that I've been using. But as I said, if I can get away with a chord and an amp turning up and then just using the volume knob on the guitar, that's where I like to be.
Tone is in the hands.
Well, you know what? That's what I always say. 99% of the tone is in the phalanges. You know, that 1%, it's a fun 1%. It can be a very expensive 1%. But most of it, well, you know how it is. Like you hear, like you just said with Robben, you can tell when it's Robben if he's playing a Lotus through a PV Rage. You'd know that it was Robben Ford.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so I always say to people, if you don't like your tone, spend more time in the practice room.
Yes. Play your damn guitar and shut up and stop buying stuff. Play your guitar. There's this. This is a slight tangent, but it kind of goes back to the hands and the tone thing. There's this great video that is just the coolest thing. It's you and your son. Your son is on drums. You're playing guitar, and you're playing "Message to Love," which is one of my favorite Hendrix songs of all time. And you guys are just killing it, man. You just are just killing it, and you're not going effects crazy. You got the amp is just vibrating because it's just cranked up to shit. And you're just playing the hell out, and it just sounds awesome, man. And it's just if people.
Oh, thank you.
You go check out. Go to YouTube and type in some Hendrix and Greg Koch, and you'll see this video. It's very cool, and his son's really good on the drums too.
Yeah, he was a whippersnapper when that was recorded too. He was, I think he was 16, 15 years old when we did that. And he just came up to sit in with my band, with my regular drummer. He said, I said, what do you want to play? He goes, let's play that Hendrix tune. And without the rehearsal, away we went.
Yeah. Well,
so
cool.
It's been fun. Now he's the ripe old age of 18, and he's actually on 10. No, he's on 7 of the 10 tunes on the new record. Is my son playing.
Wow.
Which is cool. So he'll be going to Europe with me, and that way I can keep my eye on him.
Very, very nice. Can't wait. Well, hey, Mr. Greg Koch, I just want to say thank you very much for being on the show. We've reached the end of the show, but it's not over yet because it's time for the burning question. Greg Koch.
Yes.
Are you ready for the burning question? Are you? You there? Oh, no, he's gone? Oh, wow. Are you there? Is he there? Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's calling back. Wait a minute. There he is. He's going to miss the... Wait a minute. There he is.
The question was so explosive that my phone went dead.
I think I exploded. What a mess. Hey, okay, here's the burning question. Now, you've played many a sausage fest in your time.
Indeed.
What do you play for the ladies?
Oh, that's a good question. I find in my arsenal, every time we do a little "'Cause We've Ended as Lovers," oh, Lordy, they love that particular selection.
They like that?
Oh, they dig it. in the latest arsenal, we have a tune called "Down the Road" on the new CD. That's kind of a sexy R&B-ish number, and they dig that as well. But in the past, we do "'Cause We've Ended as Lovers," and that gets them.
That's the correct answer. "'Cause We've Ended as Lovers." I knew you would come through. Awesome. Mr. Greg, thank you for coming on my show. It's been an honor. I'm a big fan. I can't wait till you come to L.A. because I'm going to be out in the front row with my shirt off, throwing panties on stage. I'm a fan. Hey, man, come by anytime. Whatever you got, I would love to hang out with you. Thank you. Thank you so much, man.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me out there. I appreciate it.
Wow. I'm going to play this last track. I'll see you next time. Well, that's our show. I'd like to thank our guest, Greg Koch. Set mind to purpose and visit him at gregkoch.com. That's spelled Koch. And purchase every piece of music he has ever written. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, Music Connection Magazine. Visit them at musicconnectionmagazine.com. Also, True Tone Music. Visit them at truetonemusic.com. And last but not least, Mojave Ampworks. Visit the Oasis of Tone at mojaveampworks.com. Donate $30 or more to enter Oscar's Guitar Shop sweepstakes, and the winner will receive a 1-year subscription to Music Connection Magazine and a Brimstone Audio crossover distortion pedal. The winner will be announced on August 30th. Go to oscarsguitarshop.com, do it and win. Tune in next week when our guest will be sensitive singer, songwriter, and bluesman John Mayer. Take care of yourselves. Be nice to each other. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.